All right, everybody, tonight we're going to be doing the homework for complex fractions and unit rates. As usual, I'll take on all the odd ones. Doing number 21, we have 12 over 3/5. Once again, we have a fraction, which is a division problem, but whenever I have a complex fraction, which is a fraction in a fraction, I remember I use keep, change, flip, or KFC, as I like to call it, in order to go ahead and find my answer. I remember that 12 is really 12 over 1. And since the first part of keep, change, flip, or KFC, tells me to keep the top number the same, I won't touch it. The second number, though, on the bottom, that I'm going to flip. So that's going to turn into 5 over 3. And we're going to multiply instead of divide. I can go ahead and use the butterfly method to turn this 12 into a 4 and the 3 into a 1, which leaves me with 5 times 4, which is 20, over 1. And of course, any number over 1 is itself. The answer has to be 20. All right, going to number 23, we have 1/2 and 1/4. Once again, this really equals 1/2 times, well, we're going to flip this one, 4 over 1. And once again, we can go ahead and use the butterfly method to turn the 2 into a 1 and the 4 into the 2, right? Because they're both divisible by 2. 1 times 2 now gives us 2. And 1 times 1 gives us 1, which means our answer is 2. All right, and number 25. 5, 6, well, once again, we keep the top one the same. We're going to change from division to multiplication, and then we're going to flip the bottom one, which makes it 9 over 5. Well, as you can see, we got a 5 on the top and 5 on the bottom. Those cross each other out, and both 6 and 9 are divisible by 3. 6 divisible by 3 is 2. 9 divisible by 3, of course, is 3. And now that's going to be 1 times 3, well, that's 3. And 2 times 1 is 2. Of course, that's an improper fraction, so we know that 2 goes into 3 one time, leaving 1 1/2 as my final answer. All right, let's try number 27. A lawn company advertises so they can spread 7,500 square feet of grass seed in 2.5 hours. Find the number of square feet of grass seed that can be spread per hour. Well, the minute they did that, they told me that that was going to be on the bottom. So I've got my 2 1/2 on the bottom of my fraction. And then I've got 7,500 on the top of my fraction. Well, let's turn this fraction into an improper fraction first. So 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 plus 1 is 5. So this is really going to be 7,500 over 5 over 2. For those that didn't catch that, 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 plus 1 is 5. Now we have our complex fraction, so let's work it. Remember, 7,500 is really 7,500 over 1. And now we have to remember to use our flip rule. Remember, we're keeping the top number the same. We're changing from division, which that's what a fraction is, a division problem. We're going to change it to multiplication. Now we're going to flip that second number and turn it into 2 over 5. Now we have to see how many times does 5 go into 7,500. Wow. Okay. Well, if I did a little division here, let's see, 7,500 divided by 5. Well, that goes into 7 once. That leaves me 2, so that'd be 25 left. And 5 goes into 25 5 times. And looks like the zeros just follow. So that gives me 1,500. So let's cross these out. And now we have 1,500 over 1 times 2 over 1. Well, 1,500 times 2 is 3,000. And 1 times 1 is 1. And any number over 1 is itself. So that means our answer is, find the number of square feet of grass seed that can be spread. Then my answer would have to be 3,000 square feet, squared. Let's see. Of grass seed. And that is our answer. The number of square feet of grass seed that can be spread in per hour is 3,500 square feet of grass seed. Or sorry, 3,000 feet, square feet of grass seed. Okay, I guess I should have switched these around, turned it into square feet since that's how they wrote it. Square feet. Okay. And now we're ready for our next one. And that would be number 29. 29 says write each percent as a fraction in simplest form. Okay, well if I write this as a fraction in simplest form, I have to remember that for 1, I want to turn this into an improper fraction. There's a couple ways I could do it. The first way, turning it improper, would be 7 times 4. That would be 28, and 28 plus 3, 28, 29, 30, 31. So that'd be 31 over 4. Now, in order to turn that percent into as a fraction in simplest form, I would have to go ahead and divide this. And let's go ahead and do that real quick. Now, when we divide 31 by 4, let's see if I can get a calculator here. 31 divided by 4 gives us 7.75. Let's write that down. 7.75. That makes sense because we had 7 over here, and 3/4 is 75%. Now, we have to remember that we're turning this from a percentage, which means we have to move our decimal over twice. And now we go back to the old rule of how to go ahead and make a decimal into a fraction. And I told you before that you must take your number that you have, put a 0 under each number that's there, and then place a 1 in front of it. And that's how you turn it into a fraction. That, of course, allows you to get rid of the decimal here. And now you have to ask yourself, what goes into both of these numbers when I simplify it? Well, this looks like $7.75. I know quarters go into dollars and into 75 cents, so I can divide this top number by 25. And I know, since these end in zeros, that I can divide this bottom one by 25. And if I do that, I'm going to find that 775 divided by 25 is 31. And 10,000 divided by 25 is going to leave me with 400. So my answer is going to be 31 over 400. Okay? And let's go ahead and move on. We've got number 31 now. It says the value of a certain stock increased by 1 1/4%. Explain how to write 1 1/4% as a fraction in simplest form. We're going to write this as a fraction in simplest form. That's pretty much what we did up here, isn't it? All right, so we're going to take this and turn it into an improper fraction. 4 times 1, that's 4. Plus 1 is 5, so this is really 5 over 4. Now I can divide it, or I could have simply said it from the beginning that we had 1, and I'm just going to guess as to what this is going to be. We had 1, and 1/4 is 0.25, because 1/4 is 25% of a whole. And remember, since this is a percent, we would have to move our decimal over twice, and that would give me 0.0125. Well, now I take that 0.125, I place a 0 underneath every one of them, and then put a 1 in front, and I have my new fraction that I have to simplify now in simplest form again. I can divide this by 25. 125 divided by 25 will give me 5. I got a feeling I'm going to be able to reduce that even more. And then 10,000 divided by 25. Well, we had that up here, didn't we? And that gave us 400. But I know that 5 also goes into 400. So I guess what we could have done is divided it by 125. But let's go ahead and divide by 5 now. And if I do, 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 400 divided by 5, well, I know that 5 times 8 is 40. So 5 times 80 must be 400. And I would write in simplest form 1 over 80 as my answer. But don't think I didn't remember. I told you there were 2 ways to do this, and I started the other way over here. So I'll just separate these two. 5 over 4. And again, how would I solve that? Well, I take 5 divided by 4. And that gives me 1.25. And remember, again, this was a percent, so I had to move my decimal over twice. Look at that, everybody. We got the same number that we had over here. And thus, we start the same concept, right? We would put the 0, 125 as our numerator, put a 0 underneath each one of my numbers, and then put a 1 in front of it. And look, I have the same exact number as I did over here. This time we'll divide by 125 because we already know that worked before. And we get, well, 1 on the top. And 10,000 divided by 125. Will give us 80. And look at that, we got the same exact answer. All right, well, that's it for tonight. I hope that helped you out, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.